Briefing for Friday the 9th of June. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Google is changing the way that emails are authenticated as being genuine. After a relatively sophisticated spoof demonstrating the delivery of fake UPS emails that come across with the Google checked and authenticated blue mark. The issue is around the way that brand indicators for message identification works, and it is down to the fact that BIMI, as it's known, uses Sender Policy Framework, SPF, domain-based message authentication and reporting and conformance, DMARC, domain keys identified mail, DKIM, in order to authenticate mail. Now, these various frameworks, I mean, if you've been involved in setting up mail, you will be aware of them. They all basically address different aspects of, do I know that this email is legitimate or not, and play a reasonable part in preventing spoofed emails. They are far, far from perfect, but they're the best that we've got at the moment. So Google started supporting BIMI in July of 2021, and it's what they're using for the blue checks for verified senders. Up until this week, BIMI, they've been allowing DMARC alignment with either SPF or DKIM. However, there are long-standing bugs in the implementation of SPF, which allows a sender to appear to be more legitimate than they actually are. And that was effectively the way in which this vulnerability was exploited. Initially, Google's response was won't fix intended behavior. However, as recently there have been push in the media to raise this particular issue, and Google are then now looking at how they're going to go around this, and probably will stop using SPF as one of the means by which they determine whether it's a verified sender or not. For its part, BIMI has addressed the issue in a blog post and blamed the bug on a long-standing and well-known issue with SPF, one that predated their existence. So, okay, well, if they knew about it, perhaps they shouldn't have been relying on it. So hopefully this is now going to be properly addressed by Google for Gmail. Remain vigilant. Should you believe any of these verified sender things? Well, I think especially after Elon completely mullering blue ticks or whatever they were, no is the answer. They only mean what the provider wants them to mean, and that could be great or it could be total rubbish, and you can't tell. So keep an eye out, make your own minds up about whether the emails are legit or not. Be suspicious. So a long time ago, way back in 2008, a vulnerability was discovered whereby if you froze memory chips, they would hold their data for long enough for you to read the data off the memory chip. Incredibly awkward to do in practice, catching a machine which is in the right state physically, being able to actually freeze the chip, being able to remove the chip and read its contents and so on. So that's gone into the bucket of, well, yes, it's possible. Unless you're James Bond, you're probably not going to be able to make much use of it. but there is at a conference in Canada, the CEO of Red Balloon Security has demonstrated a machine that he has built, which will automate most of that process for you. So that's, I think, both interesting and just a little bit worrying that you can build one of these machines for a couple of $1,000s. Which will then be able to dismantle your PC or your laptop or your device, extract the memory chips, and then read from them, all whilst it's being held at around minus 50 degrees centigrade. Yes. Makes for interesting reading. I still think this stuff lives in the you've got to be a cyber ninja or state-sponsored espionage group in order to make much use of this, and you do actually have to have your hands physically on the device. Goodness only knows what state the device is in once you've done it. You can, though, depending on the state of the device, you can extract all sorts of things from memory chips, including encryption keys. There are various things held in memory because clearly, if the processor is being asked to decrypt, it has to be able to read the keys from somewhere, and those are held in memory. So access to memory can be very interesting, but very specialist. But just goes to show that things that you think may be so difficult and so arcane that they will never be exploited actually might be at some point in the future. And talking of weird stuff that people can use to exploit, there are articles going around at the moment which demonstrate the way in which ChatGPT can be used to potentially recommend malware. So idea being, if you ask ChatGPT for recommendations for particular packages for a particular development platform, it will then come up with a list of packages. You say, I want, I need packages for in Python that will do X, Y, and Z. ChatGPT will tell you which ones work and which ones which ones to go for. The only thing is, and as we've noticed with ChatGPT, it has very little grounding in reality, and appears to be unable to tell the difference between something which exists and something which it's just made up. So it is likely to recommend fictional, plausible but fictional information. In this case, if it is recommending packages that don't exist, it is likely, if it's recommending them to you, it's also recommending them to various other people as well. It's just the nature of the thing. That means if you can find a package that it recommends that doesn't exist, you can then go away and write that as malware, especially if you obfuscate the malware a little bit, put a little bit of thought into it. Your package then becomes available when people search for it on the recommendation of ChatGPT. I think that's a very interesting approach to distributing malware. Use AI to do it for you. Very clever. Undoubtedly, there will be some or other tweaks done that will try to stop it from doing this stuff. But there is a consistent theme, isn't there, that ChatGPT just makes shit up. It is, I suppose we have an expectation that it understands truth from not truth, but I don't think it does at all. I think it just, there are no real boundaries in it because it doesn't actually exist. So yeah, clever. So there we are. If you're asking ChatGPT for recommendations on coding, especially at the moment on packages that you can use in order to do various things, components within your programs. Just be aware some of them don't exist. That is all from me for today and for this week. Hope you all have a really good weekend, and I'll speak to you again on Monday morning.